The Bering Strait. The Bering Strait is a narrow stretch of water that separates Alaska from Siberia. At its narrowest point, the Bering Strait is just 50 miles wide. For the past 120 years, those 50 miles seemed like 500. There were no planes that flew across this narrow stretch of water, and no boats carried people back and forth. All of this changed in the late 1980s. These days there are frequent visits between people living on either side of the Bering Strait. Even though the climate remains very cold, there are a lot of warm feelings occurring in this corner of the world. Most interesting to hear about are the native families that are being reunited. The native residents of this part of the world, a tribe called the Aleutes, were separated by force 120 years ago. On the Soviet side of the straits, the Aleutes were moved to the faraway Commander Islands. For over a century, fewer than 400 Aleutes lived separated from their relatives on the other side of the Bering Strait. In the 1990s, Aleut family members have had the opportunity to visit with one another. When they get together, they often sing the old songs they all know so well. Even after 100 years, the songs of their ancestors remain clear in their memory. During these visits, they also share news and try to catch up on a century's worth of family history. Family bonds are being woven together again, like the beautiful baskets these natives are famous for. An interesting part about these family reunions is that the Aleutes living in the Commander Islands, on the Soviet side of the Bering Strait, had lost the ability to write the Aleutian language. Their newly reunited relatives have shown them that the Aleutian language is still alive and being actively used. The end of the Cold War has also resulted in large numbers of student and teacher exchanges across the Bering Strait. People are learning about each other's cultures, and openly sharing their lives with one another. If you could measure human happiness with a yardstick, you'd have to bring a huge number of yardsticks to measure the positive emotions of the people living on either side of the Bering Strait. The cold waters of the Bering Strait continue to flow, but these days a strong bridge of warm human emotions crosses those same waters. Phil Shapiro. Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 3.0 United States license, freely distributable for non-profit purposes. If you would like to support my creative writing, you may send a small donation via PayPal to pshapiro@his.com. The above multimedia was created on a Mac using TextEdit, Snapz Pro and the Capstrol William 4.x voice. Blog. http://philsourcefeed.blogspot.com